In a small village called Bethany, nestled on the outskirts of Jerusalem, lived a family beloved by Jesus: Mary, Martha, and their brother Lazarus. The three siblings had been close friends of Jesus, who often visited their home. Lazarus, however, became gravely ill, and as his condition worsened, the sisters sent word to Jesus, hoping he would come and heal him. They had seen him perform countless miracles, healing the sick, casting out demons, and even restoring sight to the blind. Surely, they thought, he would come quickly and save Lazarus from death. But when Jesus received the message, he did not immediately rush to Bethany. Instead, he told his disciples, "This illness will not end in death. It is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it." Jesus stayed where he was for 2 more days before telling his disciples, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up." The disciples were confused. "Lord, if he sleeps, he will get better." But Jesus spoke plainly, "Lazarus is dead, and for your sake I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him." The journey to Bethany was a difficult one, and as Jesus and his disciples approached the village, they learned that Lazarus had already been dead for 4 days. Many people from the village had come to comfort Mary and Martha, and they were mourning deeply. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she hurried out to meet him. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died," she said, her voice heavy with grief. But then she added, "But I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus replied, "Your brother will rise again." Martha, still caught in her sorrow, said, "I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day." But Jesus looked her in the eyes and declared, "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this?" "Yes, Lord," she replied. "I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is to come into the world." After this, Martha went back to her home and called her sister Mary. "The teacher is here," she said, "and is asking for you." When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to Jesus. The mourners who had been with her in the house saw her leave and followed, thinking she was going to the tomb to mourn there. When Mary reached Jesus and saw him, she fell at his feet, weeping. "Lord," she said, "if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping and the mourners who had come with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. "Where have you laid him?" he asked. "Come and see, Lord," they replied. But some of them said, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?" Jesus, once more deeply moved, approached the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. He said, "Take away the stone." But Martha, the sister of the dead man, protested, "Lord, by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days." Jesus replied, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." When he had said this, Jesus called out in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" And to the astonishment of all who were present, Lazarus, still wrapped in his grave clothes, came walking out of the tomb. His hands and feet were bound with strips of linen, and a cloth was around his face. Jesus said to them, "Take off the grave clothes and let him go." The crowd was stunned. They had just witnessed the impossible. Lazarus, who had been dead and buried for 4 days, had been brought back to life by Jesus. Many of the people who had come to mourn with Mary and Martha put their faith in Jesus after seeing this miracle. However, some of the religious leaders, instead of rejoicing, became afraid of the growing power of Jesus. They began to plot against him, seeking a way to arrest him, for they feared that his influence would threaten their authority. For Jesus, however, this miracle was not just an act of compassion toward his friends. It was a powerful demonstration of who he was. By raising Lazarus from the dead, he revealed that he is the resurrection and the life, and that through him, even death could be conquered. As he walked away from Bethany, the seeds of what would soon unfold in Jerusalem, his own death and resurrection, had already begun to take root. Lazarus' resurrection was a sign pointing to the greater miracle that would come when Jesus himself would rise from the dead, offering eternal life to all who believe in him. Thus, the story of Lazarus stands not only as a testament to the power of Jesus, but as a foreshadowing of the ultimate victory over death that he would win for all mankind.